there, book lovers. So glad you are joining me on this Again and Again author interview. This month, we're talking with Shannon Cook, the author of the children's book, I Made the Earth, an Earth Day book with a Christian worldview. I am so excited to share this book and this sweet author with you. Be sure to stay to the end to find out who we will be chatting with next month, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get in on more book fun. Enjoy our chat. Got Instagram to work with us finally.
Yay!
Well, I'm so glad to have you here, Shannon, to talk about your sweet book. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Awesome. I'd love to. First off, thank you so much for having me. I feel so. You're the first person who reached out to me to schedule something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
So as she said, I'm Shannon, and I live in a suburb outside of Columbus, Ohio. So it's a little bit later in the day for me than it is for you, but only 1 hour. And I have 4 kids. My husband Ryan and I, we've lived here for 20 years. And so we have 4 kids. Our oldest is 14, and she is also an author. She's got a book coming out in August, and that's Anna. And then we have Hudson, who's 12, and then Nora is 9, and our youngest is Grady. He's 7. So that's our brood of people. When we come into a restaurant, people are like, "Wow, that's a lot of kids."
I hear you. I have a 14, 11, and 9-year-old, and mine are all boys. And so I get the whoa.
So you're right on there. I mean, you get the stage I'm in. Yeah.
Yes, we are living similar lives here.
For sure.
Well, did you always want to be a children's book author, Shannon?
It's funny because no, I was a teacher for 12 years. I taught high school English and theater, and I directed musicals and plays. That was what I did with most of my time. And then it got to a point where I couldn't really do that job and be a mom, so I stayed home when I had my 3rd baby. And I felt like every day I would go to bed tired, but my brain felt like it was on overdrive. I needed something to like engage sort of my intellect. And so I started writing for my husband's engineering firm, and I was doing some technical writing for them. He was giving me a lot of the like information, and then I was sort of cleaning it up and, putting it sort of in publications, sort of design and all that. So I was doing a lot of like more graphic design and things like that. But I was, I got to that sort of in the exercise of writing all the time. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write something I actually like I'm interested in?
Yeah, that's a big jump to go from engineering to children's books.
Absolutely. So I was looking for, I thought, well, I've been writing every day now for, 8 months or something. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to try my hand at writing something else? So that's kind of when I started writing.
Very cool. Well, tell us a little bit about your book, I Made the Earth.
So I Made the Earth. I was looking for a book about Earth Day. My kids and I love seasonal books. We have a whole little shelf in our basement where we put seasonal books up for every season, every holiday. It's where we put all the stuffed animals that like people without kids give you that don't fit anywhere else. We shove them in that corner so everyone can sit down and just kind of enjoy the books. I was looking for a new holiday to do because I like to keep it fresh about 2 years ago. And I was looking for Earth Day books. My husband is in green energy. He does water power. So we love Earth Day, always have loved Earth Day. But I couldn't find any that I really liked because it felt a lot like sort of like honor the creation rather than the creator. And so I don't know, it just didn't really fit with what I was believing. And so I thought, you know what, someone should write this. And then I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and it was like a burden on my heart. Like, I have to write this book. And I was like, no, God, I don't write picture books. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I went back to bed the next morning, and same feeling. I just had to write it. So I finally said, okay, I'm doing this, but it's got to be all you, because I hadn't studied how to write picture books. I had written some middle grade novels that were unpublished, but I hadn't written any picture books, knew nothing about any of it. So it was all God. He does know how to write picture books. So
he does. Thankfully so.
Mm-hmm.
What is your sorry, about to sneeze, maybe? No. Okay, sorry. So what is you kind of talked a little bit about your inspiration for this book
Mhm.
is that you couldn't find a Christian worldview Earth Day
Mhm.
book.
Yeah.
But what do you hope to communicate to kids with this book?
Well, for kids, I think the big thing is just to delight in creation, to get outside and to see what, especially at springtime, what's out there, what God made for them, and to go to the zoo and the aquarium and see all these beautiful things that have been created for us to take care of and to love. Because I feel like it comes naturally. If you love something, you'll protect it.
Right.
So I think for kids, it really is just getting them to fall in love with creation, so that they will later feel that urge to protect it.
Yeah, very true. Because if they don't have a respect or a love for it, it's hard to
Yeah,
want to take care of it.
yeah,
Boy,
definitely.
well, what part of the book was the most fun to work on?
So I should say the manuscript, but actually it was all about the illustrations, which I didn't do. But my publisher, Endgame Press, they do a really good job of taking into account what the author sort of sees on each page. I got a chance to look at all of like a bunch of picture books. I literally just sat in the library for a long time looking at book after book after book to find the types of illustrations that I like. They wanted about 3 sort of options of sort of styles I like. I love a lot of texture in my illustrations. I don't illustrate. I don't have that skill. Some people do like you, but I do not. I know what I like, but I don't know how to make it happen. But they also took each spread. They had me write like what I sort of could see on each page. And I thought that part was just so much fun because like I said, I'm a theater director. So if you'll notice, like it's all about the perspective. So I know how to make a stage picture. I just don't know how to draw it. So it was cool because like you like in the forest, we're above the forest. When we're in the
Right.
tree, we're laying under the tree. There's always different like kind of perspectives, which I didn't know would the illustrator take all these things into account, and he absolutely did. It was like a million times better than I ever pictured it. So I was thrilled about that.
So fun.
Yeah.
They are very engaging pictures that kind of take you here, there, and everywhere. But I do have a
Mm-hmm.
little question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite vegetable? Because artichokes and beets make a presentation, and those are not normal vegetables.
They really are. And that's where the rhyme comes in. So, you're looking for something to rhyme. And I think artichokes and beets were in like our 4th edit, maybe. So originally, I don't think we picked out any. And then once we had, it was just, the edits go back and forth and back and forth. And I can't remember which one it was. But my favorite vegetable is definitely broccoli. I could eat it every day. Or Brussels sprouts. Love Brussels
Oh
sprouts.
my.
My family hates them because it makes the house smell, but
It's like if you can cook them well, then yes. And
yeah.
then you have air freshener for after.
We cook them on Thanksgiving, but we do it outside. Like we literally go
Oh,
outside to cook them, and it's cold in Ohio in November, so
that's
that's not
true.
ideal. But we're using the electric skillet because we were like, we want to eat them, we don't want to like offend our guests.
Very true. Very true. Okay, so what do your kids think of your writing? You mentioned your daughter Anna is an author,
Mm-hmm.
and but what do your kids think about your book?
So they are so supportive. They're wonderful. And it's just nice to have, because of the age range that I have really good beta readers for really whatever I'm writing. They always listen, even when I'm writing my blog, which is super not targeted to kids, but it's for moms basically. But they'll read it when I need to make sure I'm not making spelling errors or whatever. And I love that, like, they're very involved with my writing. I mean, really, they love it. It's really fun for me. And I also there's a lot of market research that goes on, like what books do they always, gravitate toward? What do they pick up? What do they ask for again and again, especially for the ones that they want me to read out loud when they were little.
Yes.
So it's great. And then, and like I said, with my daughter, who's 14, she does have an elementary chapter book coming out in August. And so she's a colleague of mine, really. She knows a lot of the same authors I know. And so we work together sort of in a more professional way, which is bizarre because she's a freshman.
She's very mature 14-year-old. So.
She is a mature 14-year-old, yes, of course. Yep.
Your firstborn, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, what has been the most impactful book in your life, Shannon, other than the Bible?
I know. It's like okay, I figured that's not going to work. Honestly, probably Anne of Green Gables, because I read that when I was really young, and it was really hard for me to read. It was one of the hardest books I'd ever read at that point. It was the hardest book I'd ever read at that point. So it was a lot of work. But for me, it was like, wow, like there's stories in here. Like if I work hard enough to make these words into stories, like I can actually read them. And it's like unlocking sort of a puzzle. So for me, it just opened up this world of like, whoa, all of these books contain stories. And so that just made me a reader and made me like love really storytelling. And so I would say it was Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, well, yeah. That book has a sweet place in my heart because I'm a redhead, and
you get it. Oh yeah. I love it. It's my favorite. My sister and I used to watch the movie over and over again. It was like a mini series, I think. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It was something. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, it was definitely like 5 hours.
Yeah, it was long. Well, Shannon, when did you first call yourself a writer? Was it during your, technical writing phase, or was it after?
I would say after. It's funny because if you were to ask me in high school, I felt like I was a writer because I wrote really terrible poetry about whatever boy I was in love with. And then but as an adult, it was harder to call myself a writer because there's something to that where you're like, I'm not getting paid to write, so am I a writer? You know? And so when I started writing my blog about 5 years ago, I would say that I'm a writer, but most of the time I said I was a blogger. That doesn't feel as much like you're using that word. So I don't know. And it's really funny because I remember the day when like when I got my contract. The only book I've published so far is I Made the Earth. And I got the contract, and I called my sister and I was like, I'm an author. And I used that word for the first time for me. And she thought I was like, we were also not just Anne of Green Gables, but also obsessed with Little Women. So she's like, are you doing like a Joe thing? Like, what's happening here? And I'm like, no, I'm an author. I'm an author. So that was a really fun thing to say for the first time, because, you know, that's exactly what Jo says when she gets her first, you know, thing published. She's like, I'm an author. And so I said that to her, and she was confused. She was like, what's happening? And so I would say, yeah. And there were times where I would say, you know, I do some technical writing, or, you know, I think my actual job description was more about like media design or something. I don't remember what it was, but I wasn't like calling myself a writer. So,
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's hard to say that word because I think as an adult, like everything has to be career. And it's so like nerve wracking to say that because you're like, what am I declaring? What am I saying to other people? So,
it seems to come with a lot of expectations.
It does. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I've been a teacher, and only a teacher, for so long. And that's all I was really like, what I felt like I was able to do, because I went to school to teach, and that's such a specific degree program that it was like hard to even call myself something other than a teacher. So
very true. But teachers use all kinds of tools to teach. So
yeah, we do.
Well, if you could spend a day with another popular writer, living or dead, who would you choose?
Sandra Boynton, for sure.
Ooh,
yes. Sandra Boynton wrote all of my kids' very favorite board books. And so Snuggle Puppy was a big hit in our house.
But not the hippopotamus.
Huh?
But not the hippopotamus.
But not the hippopotamus. That was one that my husband always reads. For my baby, my 7-year-old, for his first birthday, it was themed Hippos Go Berserk. So we had hippos on it was just so fun. And her illustrations are the best.
Yes.
Her stories are so fun. And I follow her on Facebook, and she's hilarious. So she makes me laugh like every day. So I have sort of like a little bit of an obsession with her. I see, yep, Moo Ba La La La.
Moo Ba La La.
Yeah, she's the best.
Too fun. I'm gonna have to follow her. I haven't found her.
Oh, she's fun. And she has great illustrations like every other day, and she celebrates all the great holidays like Chocolate Day, and she gives you lots of excuses to eat chocolate because she loves chocolates.
Oh yeah. Maybe I should not follow her.
I know, maybe that's dangerous.
Well, Shannon, you mentioned Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. Mm-hmm. Are those your favorite books? Or what is your favorite book?
My favorite book is actually the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Absolutely love that book, and that's by Annie Barrows. And I think her niece helped her finish it because she passed away before the book was written. And her name is Mary Ann Schaefer. I just wanted to say. And before it was a movie, which I like the movie. I like the movie, okay, but the book is so good, and I used to recommend that to everybody all the time because nobody had ever heard of it before. And I love anything that's like epistolary like that. I love anything written in letters. My middle book of the series that I wrote, my unpublished middle grade series, has a lot of letters in it too. So I love storytelling that way. I just think it's really interesting because you just feel like kind of a detective to figure out what the story is.
Yeah.
So that book is amazing. I love it.
It was a fun one. I love the scene where they name their literary society. It's just the most random.
It really is.
Drunk guy
so
in the street. It's just
so cute.
So fun.
Yeah. It's a wonderful story, and it's just well told. I love the story.
It is. And what is it? There's something about World War II stories that is just, there's so many different perspectives and so many people were involved that there's just so many amazing stories to hear and to learn from.
Yeah,
so
it's a great one.
Cool. All right. So what is your favorite children's book other than your own?
I had to think about this one for a long time, but I actually have it right here. And this is by Jill Roman Lord, Dream Big, My Precious One. This is like why we write children's books. This is about how kids, like, it's saying like you can be whatever you want to be. God has a big plan for you. All these wonderful, beautiful themes. And I remember being at a writers' conference, and Jill had taken a real special interest in my daughter, her first conference, and was really encouraging her. And at the very end of the conference, she's like, I have an extra book I want to give to you. And she gave it to Anna. Anna was so moved by that because it's just really sweet. And then when Anna read it, she started crying. And I was like, oh, she's a writer. She's a writer. Because the idea that you can have an influence in somebody else's life, in that way, a child's life. Yeah. For me, that's what we do, why we do what we do. And it's amazing. So this book, really, I love it so much. Boy. And now it's in a board book. They just came out with that last month. It's a good one to get for maybe a baby shower or something like that, because they can chew on it.
For a lifetime, you can chew on that, because we need those reminders as adults too sometimes. Now, what are you reading right now, Shannon? Okay, so I technically finished it last night, but
it's this book here, and it's called Scribbles, Sorrows, and Russet Leather Boots. This is actually, and we were just talking about her, but this is a biography of Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Women and a lot of other books. Her life was hard, man. Like, I was surprised by all of the stuff that she had to endure. But it was a really nice biography. I really enjoyed it. So
very neat.
Just finished it last night, and I've been working on it for way too long. It feels like I just read like 5 minutes here and there when I'm in the car waiting for my kids to come out. And they're like, Mom, you're still reading that book? Because most of my reading I actually do with audio books, because I have to walk my dog all the time, and I have a lot of laundry to do, so I tend to listen. So if I'm reading something with my eyes, it does take a little bit longer. I have a lot more distractions.
I hear you. There's 4 distractions at a minimum, right?
At least, yeah.
I can't do audiobooks because I think I have too many thoughts in my head. It's like, I can't.
I know it works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody, but for me, I'm able to read a lot more books that way. Yeah. And especially if I'm taking a walk or whatever, I just love that. So
yes, I know. I like. Yeah. I hear you. All right. Here's the big question, Shannon. Okay. What can we expect next from you?
My agent's still shopping my middle grade series. It is a historical fiction, Depression era book it's not depressing. It's really sweet. For girls, it's called the Girls of Hope series. It's 3 books, sort of a discipleship model. So it can go in either order. But a girl finds out learns something about God and herself, and then in the next book, she's the one who's the mentor for a new girl. And so it's three stories. The first one takes place, well, I don't know, because I don't know what direction we're going in, but one of them is a farm situation. She lives on a farm in Indiana. That's the one that I wrote first. It's based off my grandma's journal. And then the other one is though the other two live in the city. So just different aspects of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
So that's what I would love to be next. I'm also working on a children's book, another picture book. It's actually a Valentine book called Jonah's Valentines. And I kind of picture the book being all black and white, and then he picks up, this little boy finds a Valentine in the tree on the way home from school. It's got one color, and then that color's added to the story, and then he finds a series of different colored Valentines. By the end, he finds out all these Valentines are from God, different ways that he's loved by God, and by the end, the whole picture book is colored. So
Wait, that's fun.
So we'll see about that one. I've been working on that one for a little while, but I'm not ready to really put it out there yet. because I really want, right now I really would love to push those middle grade books, because I've been working on those for about 6 years. Those ones I'm like, would be awesome.
It's funny how those heart projects sometimes take a little bit longer than the ones that pop into our heads.
They really do. Yep.
And I love the idea of going from black and white to color. I just did a school reading of, what was it? What Do You Do with an Idea by Kobe Yamada. Mm-hmm. And that picture book also goes from black and white into color, and the kids just loved watching.
It's fun because they can really see it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's exciting.
We'll see.
Way fun. Well, where can people find out more about you, Shannon?
So the best is probably my website, shannoncookWrites.com. I also am on Instagram at Shannon Cook Writes. I'm also on Facebook at Shannon Cook Writes. So pretty much that's the one that I use, and that's where my blog is as well, on my website, obviously. And so if you'd like to follow my blog, it comes out every Monday. It's mostly geared toward, I would say, moms, but some of my most avid readers are not moms or not even women. So you never know. But that's technically it's really more for moms, that we tend to talk about things that we deal with. But it's mostly just an encouragement, and it's called Focus in the Fog. It's encouragement every Monday morning. So hopefully, you may want to hear from me, and, hopefully I can encourage you a little bit.
Was it the title of your blog, Focus in the Fog?
Focus in the Fog, yeah.
When I found that, I was like, yes, that is like parenting.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
And it's so funny because the first conference I went to, somebody said, you should probably do a blog if you want to write. And I was like, I don't want to do a blog. It felt like the teacher saying you have to do more homework, and I didn't want to do that. But she said, what would you want to hear? And I said, honestly, when I first started staying home with my kids, if somebody would have sat down with me and said, these are the things that are hard, but you're going to get through this stuff, and you're not alone, and I know you feel lonely, but we're all here together. I said, that's what I would have wanted to hear. And she said, then you need to write that. So that's kind of the inspiration behind the blog. And there are times where it is just a fog, and you're just like, I don't even know what to think about, because there's too much stuff to process.
Yes. Yes. There's noises, there's laundry, there's always something.
And there's a million other blogs that are telling you this is the thing you should value, or lay in traffic for this thing, and it's like, what do I choose to care about? That's really hard to find. So
well, that's fun. It's really great. There's a quote I always go back to from Rebecca Lyons that says, I think, where your passion or where your burden and your passion collide is where you need to speak into. And I just love that, because as a boy mom, my passion is to grow these young men to be strong men of God. And so just kind of, and I love books. And so it's just kind of one of those.
Books are a great thing to talk about all the time.
Every time. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so excited about your book. And you said you are working on getting some activity sheets up on your website as well to go with it.
Yes.
So
they're done. I just have to post them. I need to post them.
Do it.
Yeah, book launch. I was surprised by how busy a book launch is. It's a lot. It's fun, and but I found I go to bed and I'm like, I'm so stressed out I can't fall asleep. So,
did I do all the things I needed to do today? Yes.
No, and the answer is never no. It's always no. No, I did not, but I did some things.
I'm so excited for you and excited for what might be next. And wishing good luck for your middle grade book as well as your Valentine book. They both sound lots of fun, and hopefully you'll get something on paper here soon.
We'll see. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Shannon. I'm so glad to have you here and look forward to hearing what comes next.
All right. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining our fun chat today. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Shannon and hear more about her sweet book. Next month, we'll be talking with Brock Eastman and his coming release, Edge of the Galaxy, a 30-day space and faith adventure. Be sure to subscribe and join us again next month. Happy reading.